Hey there, friends! Before we begin, I'd like to invite you to join us on this journey by following our channel. If you enjoy these stories, please support us by subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. It helps us a lot, really. Akhenaten, the pharaoh who dreamed of one god. When cities fall asleep under the blanket of night, and the stars whisper to anyone who listens, souls begin searching for a story, a warm story that shines like light across the pillows of dreams. We invite you on a different kind of journey, a journey through time into the heart of the Egyptian desert where a dream was born, unlike anything before it, and never repeated after. It was the dream of a strange, unconventional pharaoh, a man who saw the sun as the one true God. He abandoned palaces and temples to build a city of light in a land no one had ever lived in before. In this calm documentary, we'll follow the footsteps of Akhenaten, the boy who became a king, the king who became a dream, and the dream that disappeared into the sand. So turn off the lights and let the sun speak again. More than 3,000 years ago, in the time of the pharaohs, Thebes was one of the most beautiful cities in ancient Egypt. It was a huge, thriving city filled with temples and statues where the god Amun was worshipped and grand festivals were held. In this city, a little prince was born, Amenhotep. His father was Amenhotep III, one of Egypt's strongest kings, and his mother was Queen Tia, a clever and influential woman, said to have shared not just the king's heart, but also his decisions. From a young age, Amenhotep IV was different. Unlike other princes, he wasn't interested in hunting lions or leading soldiers. Instead, he loved peace and quiet, often sitting alone, gazing at the sky, especially at sunset. From the palace balcony, he would watch the light fade behind the mountains, almost as if he was trying to understand the secret behind that golden glow that warmed the earth and gave life to everything. He grew up studying in the royal schools, learning old religious texts, memorizing the countless names of Egyptian gods, Amun, Ra, Horus, and many others. But in his heart, something didn't feel right. He couldn't accept so many gods. He felt there had to be something greater, one thing that connected everything, something that gave life and light, like the sun. While the palace echoed with music, drums, and celebrations at night, young Amenhotep preferred to sit alone, sketching the sun's disk with its long rays. He was searching for answers that no priest, or even his mother, the queen, could give him. She noticed her son's unusual way of thinking, but she didn't oppose him. She simply didn't know where it would lead. One day, while still just a prince, he stood before the great temple of Amun. Its giant columns reached for the sky, and the statues towered above him. But instead of awe, he felt emptiness. Deep inside, he believed the true God wasn't there, hidden in stone idols, but up above, in the sky, behind the clouds, in the light that returned to earth every single morning. That feeling was the beginning. He hadn't yet spoken it out loud, but inside the dream had started to take shape, a dream of one God, a God who could be seen but never touched, a God who shined but was never carved, a God like the sun. And in Thebes, beneath the shadow of the old temples, that dream quietly began to grow, like a seed waiting for the moment to break through the earth and reach the light. In the art of Akhenaten's time, people looked almost alive, like someone you'd met before. Art wasn't just for temples anymore, but for everyday life. And well, the changes didn't stop there. The clothes in the paintings became lighter and simpler, showing the body's movement as if it was dancing with the light. And the sun? It was everywhere, not just as a background, but as the very source of life. It was painted in the sky, sending its rays down to everyone, the king, the children, even the animals. This kind of change didn't sit well with the priests of Thebes, who were used to seeing kings portrayed as stiff, godlike figures who never smiled. But with every new painting the dream kept growing, the dream of life being simple, warm and full of light. In the next chapter we'll get closer to Nefertiti, the queen who stood beside Akhenaten. She was part of every moment, every picture, every sunrise in the city of Akhetaten. Akhenaten wasn't carrying the dream alone. Beside him was a woman, powerful, beautiful and quiet, but present in every detail. Queen Nefertiti. Her name would come to mean the beautiful one has come. She wasn't just the pharaoh's wife, she was his partner in rule, in faith and in life. From the very beginning of the dream, Nefertiti stood by Akhenaten without hesitation. She prayed with him, joined him in festivals, and appeared beside him in temple carvings, offering sacrifices to Aten. And in those carvings she didn't stand behind him like a shadow. She stood right next to him as his equal. She raised her hands to the light, looking up at the sun just like he did, as if she believed in it just as strongly. At court, Nefertiti moved with confidence. She wore crowns decorated with Aten's symbol, and she appeared in art not only as a queen, but almost as a ruler in her own right. In one carving, she's even shown striking down an enemy with her own hand, something never seen before for a woman in Egyptian art. It was a clear message. This queen wasn't just beautiful, she was powerful. Her bond with Akhenaten was more than love. It was almost spiritual. She shared his belief in one God, helped him build the new city, sat beside him in the open-air temples, and listened to the new hymns he wrote for Aten. It's said she even helped spread the idea of one God among women in the palace and the noble families. Nefertiti and Akhenaten had several daughters together, and the carvings often show her holding them, playing with them, laughing with them. She didn't hide her motherhood, she made it part of daily life in the new city. She loved to be shown with her daughters under the sunlight, as if to say, this dream isn't just for us, it's for the next generation too. While the priests in Thebes plotted in silence, Nefertiti was helping to keep the dream alive in Akhetaten. She may not have carried a sword, but she fought in her own way, with words, with presence, with determination. Yet despite her great presence, Nefertiti remains a mystery. No one knows for sure how her life ended, or where she was buried. She vanished from the carvings as suddenly as she had appeared. Some say she died young. Others claim she ruled alone after Akhenaten's death, under a different name. But the truth is still lost in the sands. In the next chapter we'll see what happened after the city settled, those quiet years in Akhetaten before the dark clouds began to appear. At first, it seemed like the dream had come true. Every morning the sun rose over new houses and calm streets where people lived in peace. There was no sound of war, no sign of angry priests, no statues of many gods. Everything revolved around Aten, the one god sending his light to everyone. Akhenaten would leave his simple palace to walk among the people. He greeted farmers, personally oversaw construction at the temple, and sometimes sat with the scribes who wrote down his new hymns. To the people he didn't seem like a distant king, he felt like a man living among them, sharing their joys and meditating on the same sunlight. Life in the city had a different rhythm. There were no complicated rituals, no loud festivals, just simple prayers at sunrise, light hymns in the open-air temples, and children's songs teaching love for the light. Even work began and ended with the sun. When it set, the city fell into quiet sleep, as if its heart beat in time with the rhythm of the light. Art kept evolving too. New drawings appeared, showing daily life in its simplest details. A mother cooking, a child running, an old man sitting in the shade of a palm tree. These weren't just in houses. They were even painted on temple walls. It was as if the whole city had become an open book about life. But in the old cities, Thebes and Memphis, people began to feel uneasy. They missed their old gods. They asked, "Why don't we pray to Amun anymore? Where are our old rituals?" Even some soldiers complained they didn't know who to pray to before battle. The priests of Thebes hadn't forgotten. They watched silently from afar. They didn't attack openly, but they whispered to the people, "This isn't natural. The old gods are angry. Chaos is coming." And although the sun still rose every morning, worry began to creep into people's hearts. No one knew where the danger would come from, but the feeling grew stronger every day. In the next chapter, we'll see how the dream began to break, and how the sun that once symbolized warmth slowly cast a long shadow, marking the beginning of the end. By Akhenaten's 17th year on the throne, around 1330 BC, the signs of collapse were clear. At first, no one noticed. Life seemed normal, but beneath the surface everything was falling apart. The harvests grew weaker, the Nile's waters dropped, drought struck parts of the land, and with it came hunger. People began to complain, asking, "Where is Aten? Why doesn't he save us?" Soldiers returned from the borders with bitter reports. Tribes were attacking small towns. The once strong defences were crumbling. There was no one to lead the army as before. Some generals deserted, others lost their loyalty. Inside the city, Akhenaten himself grew distant. He stopped appearing in public squares and in the temple. Some said he was sick, others whispered he was simply tired of fighting. As the months passed, the dream that had once filled the city began to fade, and with this weakness the names of the old gods started to return. In distant villages, people secretly prayed to Amun again, burning incense in the dark. Finally, at the end of this story, I just want to thank you for listening and spending your time with us. If you enjoyed this journey, please remember to follow the channel and watch for future videos. And, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.